Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Jeremy Healy takes us through his inner spaces, I probably could have phrased that better, in 55 minutes on BBC Three after Helena Christensen takes us behind the lens.
So this is the first trick, right? Make them feel like they can trust you. I took a 15 years education in being a photographer as, you know, as a model because I just was exposed to, you know, photography every day of my life.
It was only a matter of time before Helena just grabbed the camera. She wants to get to the heart of the matter. What's this about?
There's something about the way she sees things, and not just as a photographer, but her take on the world, to me, is fascinating.
I really like Los Angeles because it's a city that makes you feel like you've been taken out of the rest of the world and put into some timeless, crazy place. There's no other place like Los Angeles. It just kind of makes you feel like you're on the edge of the world. It's a very eerie sort of beauty. It's a different sort of beauty. You know, you think of all the movie stars being here like since the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. There's some kind of faded elegance about it. There's some very interesting people out here. That's what I love about it. You just have Elvis walking down the street, you know. I'm here to document the Bull Run rally. I think there's around 200 cars taking off from Los Angeles, driving across America, and ending up in about a week's time in Miami. And we'll be shooting some reportage shots of the official takeoff and also all the cars in the garage under the hotel where they're all parked. I've never just shot cars. It's so weird. Now I understand why there's always a girl on them. This car is beautiful. I love old cars. I've got a Morris Minor and I've had one since I was 19. I just love the organic feel of old cars, and I guess like everything else that I love that's old. This is black and white, and then I'm shooting color on the other one because I love the, you know, the way the neon light gives it a subdued, kind of cold tone. I can just see us setting alarms off. This light is beautiful, the backlight. And I like the floor, the way it looks like there was like a minor earthquake in here. Now, this is something about car parks. You think of how many movies have been done in car parks and how scary, how many like odd things happen down there. I'm sure everybody who goes into a car park and they're all alone and they just hear the sound of their own feet moving along get that, you know, scary kind of feeling. But this, I love the floor here. I would like this floor at home. It's so cool. Let's shoot the floor. That's good. Didn't want to make these shots just like beautiful, perfect shots of cars. I just want to like, I'm gonna try to catch the atmosphere down here in the garage. Very peculiar car. This is nice with all this in front of it. I love when there's a 3-dimension, you know, like when things are placed in the photograph, like it makes the photograph look like you can step into it somehow. Thank you. You know, we're more or less possibly done here. We are at the actual full-run takeoff site, and all the cars have gathered, all the drivers, and they're ready to take off on their long journey across America.
Everybody in the car, start your engine!
Everybody's filming, everybody's shooting, everybody's shooting.
Helena, can we get you over here? Helena, hold up the camera just a little. Let me see it.
Helena, right here. Helena.
Helena,
Push this way, please.
Helena, straight right here.
No, it must be a crazy job. Completely mad. You know, the thing that would bother me about it would be that, okay, everybody else around me are getting exactly the same shot.
Helena, straight right here on the left. Now we got
In the car.
Oh, God, no.
We're actually up in the north of Denmark, and this house has been in the family for 5 years, and it was one of those moments when we stepped into it, we just all went, oh my God, how more magical could a place get? This book is, I guess, about sort of just before I was conceived, and my childhood. Here, which is very interesting about my mother coming to Denmark straight from South America as an 18-year-old, is that, you know, around that time there really wasn't, if any, foreigners in Denmark. And you know, my mom came with her whole South American style, and it somehow probably must have seemed very eccentric when you sort of put her into the whole Danish scene. I love this photograph. This is the day before my South American grandmother and uncle left to go back to Peru, and my mother stayed behind. She just married my dad a week before. And this photograph just says it all. You have my mother and grandmother on the front here looking completely exotic, and then the whole Danish family in the back, you know, all very tidy and neat in the big winter coats. They got married and I came literally 9 months later. So, you know, they were very prim and proper. They waited till they got married. Just gonna go through till my mom pregnant. I can imagine my dad going, okay, go pose next to the stereo, you know, the one expensive thing we have in our little apartment. It's so funny. There I am, little, fat, and full of hair. I mean, look at all that hair. I was about, almost 5 years old when my sister came to the scene. She's so gorgeous, my little sister. That was probably my first big ad campaign. Before all the Versaces and Valentinos and whatnot, there you go, advertising diapers in my favorite pose. Began after I left school. I graduated. I was 19 years old and 18, and then I went around the world hitchhiking for half a year, taking photographs. When I got back, I was pretty broke, and you know, just 19, you're like, okay, this is when it all starts, life, everything. And I was kind of contemplating what to do when this quirky little agency from Paris came and asked if I wanted to do some modeling, to come down to Paris basically and give it a chance. I was extremely lucky. I had so many amazing moments. This story was shot by Peter Lindbergh and became an iconic story in my career and in my life, and I still have people come up to me and talk about this story. Falling in love with an alien who had crashed in his UFO, and then me hanging out in the desert in the slinkiest silver outfits, and you know, the love story that happens between us. That is one thing that very early on I realized that you gotta definitely learn from this man. Peter Lindbergh completely inspired me so many times in my career. I didn't really ask him about the technical side. I think I just kind of watched and subconsciously soaked up whatever knowledge, you know, the inspiration, ways of shooting, ways of dealing with people, ways of using light, especially natural light. You know, some stories and moments just kind of define your careers. This story was one, the Chris Isaak video with Herberitz was another. That video, definitely, without doubt, is the one thing that I've done in my life that people come up to me the most about and ask me about. It still wins all these awards in music programs. It's so beautifully shot, so immaculate. We're in Hawaii and we were running on black rocks. They were like burning and very sharp, and you know, everything looked so romantic in the video, and really it was a bloody nightmare to shoot it, but worth every single second of it. Michel Comte is another photographer that I have over the years done so many incredible stories with. I think he has the most amazing studio light of any photographer I've ever worked with. Michel really pushes your buttons, you know, he makes you jump, he makes you express yourself, you know, he basically creates this whole little silent movie out of you. You know, the whole supermodel era, God bless, it was, I must say, it was fun being part of. Hanging around with these girls was such a laugh, you know, we helped each other through a lot of things, and we laughed together, we worked together. It was like a, you know, girl camp gone completely crazy. I've not regretted anything, I will do it all over again.
We're in Christianshavn, which is a really old area. It's like a little village within the big city, and I love it here. I've been here living here since I was 19 years old. You know, it's just like a whole little community. Most people know each other. There's lots of little cafes, canals. It's very picturesque, and the building that I live in is from 1623, which means that, you know, that it's just a lot of soul here. I am a lover of anything old, and actually Mingus, my son, he's already starting to tell me that, Mom, I'm really not into all that old shit, you know, so I knew that would happen at some point, you know, that he would just go against everything that I love. I was born here and spent my first 18 years in Copenhagen with my family, all my friends, going to school here, growing up. You know, no matter where I've been in the world, no matter what I've seen, you know, the beautiful countries I've been to, Copenhagen is still the place where my real roots are, my heart. Everybody that I love the most in my life live here. We're gonna walk down to my mother's shop right now. She has a little second-hand shop called Yo-Yo. See, I was paid a lot in clothes, and you know, just kind of accumulated tons of stuff over the years, and we decided that we should open a shop. Might be my mom asking where we are. Let's see. Hi. Ja, jeg står nede foran butikken nu. Ja. Okay. Hi. My dad is gonna come down with Mingy. Here we are. There are my old stockings, shirts, skirts, underwear, bras. Sorry? She's been dealing all her life, you know, since I was little. I always remember getting into shops and her going, "Ah, that's a little too much. I only want to pay half," and I'd be really embarrassed. But now I've inherited exactly the same.
Okay, I keep for you. Okay.
But it's fun to watch her in action.
Massage is very little expensive and normally. I can see you have a beautiful clothes.
I just want to crack up when I see her deals.
I make a nice, very nice price for you. Bye.
Here's my dad and my little one.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, amorcita?
Muy bien, gracias. So you got my mom all for yourselves.
Siempre ha sido muy creadora, siempre. Ella le ha gustado desde pequeña dibujar, pintar, buscar cosas antiguas. A veces encontraba unas tacitas que se habían roto, iba a unos campamentos y ahí buscaba debajo de la tierra, buscaba muchos pedacitos de tazas que se habían roto y venía a la casa y me decía, mamá, mira, esto es muy antiguo, muy viejo.
Okay.
Bye bye, Elsa.
She has been modeling from she was 6 months. So I took her around, picked her up in school, took her to the places where they took the pictures and backed. So it was a tough time.
My car came back from the garage, my little Mars Minor. So, I'm gonna take you over to it. I got my first Mars Minor when I was about, what, 20? Yeah. I just really love old cars. You know, I find new cars really ugly. See ya. I don't use it that much, but it's a great city car. Obviously, it's not a car you drive long distances in. But just look at it, how beautiful it is on the inside. There can be traffic, but it's nothing compared to what there is in other big cities. It's not such a big city, so obviously people walk or people bicycle. And I guess people are very pollution-minded. You know, people are really good with all that kind of stuff here. Green people. Whenever I'm in any city, you know, I try to walk as much as I can because I feel that that's how you get to really experience where you are. I think if you're in cars, you just, you know, you lose a lot of local atmosphere. But this car, you know, it's just like taking an old friend on the road. You know, in Denmark, when you pass another Mars Minor, you have to sort of beat the horn twice and wave.
Mor, jeg sagt, jeg vil have af dem der på nakken.
Yeah, Mingus desperately wants a tattoo, like I have here. He wants an H for my name. I know, no, my name is Mommy, so we both have an M, which is good. We're now gonna go over to Leif. He's got a little shop. Leif is my business partner, and he's probably one of the people that I think has the most original, immaculate, amazing taste of any human being I've ever met in my entire life. And this is by far my favorite shop of all shops. And believe me, I've been to many. Together, we've just talked about how amazing it would be to open up a space similar to this in New York.
We're gonna sell Danish design clothes, Danish chocolate, Danish antiques and things like that. She's one of my best friends, and when we're walking around in the street and looking at other shops, it is exactly the same thing we like. Of course, Helena's gonna work in the shop. She's gonna make the flowers, and she's gonna be there maybe 15 minutes every Friday, something like that. No, maybe more.
Har du taget en masse forskellige skiftninger med?
Jeg har taget forskellige skiftninger med, ja.
Hej.
Altså.
Skal pæne her i dag.
Det er meget godt.
Det kan altså, faktisk.
I wasn't going to have an agent because I just done most of my work by myself because it was never going to be like a real professional job. So I was just taking photographs, and then she actually came to me in a way and asked if I wanted to do it. And that's when I started thinking, you know what, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have somebody help me. I never thought it was going to go very far, you know. It was just like a hobby that I did for myself. So she put my whole life in order.
In her fashion photography, her strength is definitely the way she handles the models, and she gets everybody very relaxed on the set, and she's very good in telling them how to pose because she's so used to what kind of position that looks good. She's been shooting for Casa Vogue, Coney Island, when she started working with them years ago, and English Elle, Italian Vogue, French Vogue, Dazed and Confused, Danish magazines such as II and Dansk. There's a personality to her work which makes it really, really strong. And the kind of the airiness and the quirkiness about it and the artistic side about it, that's what I love.
I love doing portraits. Something about being with somebody, maybe you don't even know them, you've never met them before, and then you just get to do like see a really personal side of them. People sort of feel like as long as there's a guard between you, which is the camera, just, you know, they kind of open up to it. It's really interesting. I got to take portraits of extremely talented people for the Terence Higgins Trust, Marianne Faithfull, Michael Stipe, Bono, Robbie Williams, Orlando Bloom. I shot Orlando in Hyde Park, and then I went to Robbie's apartment with a fantastic view, and we shot him on the terrace. I love getting into people's places, and not only did I enter their private sphere, but also to do a portrait is really intimate. Michael Stipe was on tour when I photographed him. It was pouring rain, and I just kind of shot him on the bus. Well, you know, the worst conditions you could possibly get. Completely dark, raining, pouring, you know, the bus ride was bumpy, and I have my Polaroid camera where you need a lot of light and, you know, stillness.
In a world where I'm more and more using digital images and digital photography in my own work, Helena's kind of stepped backwards, and she's using a lot of antiquated techniques.
He managed to take his pants off halfway through, so we got a lot of his personal side.
There are not many people that I would drop trowel for, but I thought this is an image that's very important, and it's for an important thing. I mean, I look dead foxy in it, don't you think? There's something that she captures that not many people do.
And you have the best sales in London. This is like torture, you know, being in here and not able to like just run out and join the sales. Now I'm in London to go to the Royal Academy to basically check out the photographs that I did as part of an exhibition of 100 best football players in the world. actually very cool to finally be here and see your photographs hanging up, and in the company of so many amazing photographers. You know, I'm a huge fan of Martin Parra, William Klein, Tierney Guron, and Mark Holm. They all have photographs in here. And if I even start thinking about where they're actually hanging at the Royal Academy, then it seems completely surreal. These football players are always surrounded by colors. You know, they're always in fields that are like, you know, bright green. You know, all the ads around are like bright colors. And I just immediately felt like it should be black and white. I don't know. I just wanted to make the photographs timeless somehow. This was the first football player that I shot, Enzo Francescoli. I took one look at him and I thought he had the feeling of a French actor. I just wanted it to look like a snapshot, like a, you know, like I just walked by and he looked at me and I took the shot. I'm not really into setting up too much and preparing too much, and I don't shoot a lot of photographs when I'm actually on an assignment at all. People actually tend to get a little worried because they're like wondering if I shouldn't be shooting some more. This one took 15 minutes. This is Romerito, and he actually came to my apartment in New York, completely dressed in black. So I just kind of got the idea of covering him up and putting him up against a dark background. And in a way, it might sound a little corny, but I had the feeling of turning his head into a football. So it was just his head floating like a ball. Yes, here we have Risto Stoichkov. And I went to Washington to photograph him. The whole stadium was deserted, obviously. It was completely empty, and there was a lot of like garbage, like boxes laying around. And I just thought that had a nice melancholic feeling to it. So I just placed him up there. I find it very psychological, the whole process of getting to someone's core, finding something about them that makes them show their vulnerable sides. And it's an interesting thought that, you know, I met these 3 football players. I'm probably never going to meet them again. And, you know, I got a split second of their life. These old photo albums, that goes all the way back to when my grandparents met. I remember one day I started looking through their old photo albums and I was like, oh my God, there's a whole different quality to this, you know, a serenity, a sort of a timeless feeling, which obviously black and white has to it, you know, an elegance. Back then, people really knew how to pose. They posed beautifully. They were dressed immaculately. I look at my grandmother and grandfather here, and my grandmother is so stylish and so elegant, so classy. My grandfather as well, he's wearing the coolest pants, shirts, hats. And they just, in all the photographs, they're somehow just posed perfectly. The old cameras, they just give you a different feeling. It's almost like you feel like you're there. Look at this. My grandfather was a professional gymnast when he was younger. It's so great to see him here, standing on his hands. It's my dad. Little fat and suntanned. You chubby little lovely Scandinavian child. It must have been 1998 that I met Norman, sort of thereabout. And I was 29. Because I remember we had Mingus not so long after. We basically met and we were like, okay, this is definitely a person I could have a child with. He was living in a house up in the hills in Los Angeles, painting, making sculptures, and he was acting for a couple of years. He'd been acting for a couple of years when I met him. I was really into just shooting Polaroids at that point, and you know, he was my victim for sure. I had a reason to go see him. I could just photograph him. Even though we don't live together, we still completely feel when the 3 of us are hanging out, we are definitely the family. The name Mingus actually was all Norman's idea. He is a huge fan of Charles Mingus, jazz musician. And you know how people like look a name, and he came out and just, we both looked at him and we were like, this is definitely a Mingus.
Off to school. We do the same little walk every day and we see the same little things. And there's something so nice and cozy about that, you know, that you say hi and wave at the same dogs and people. And I think for Mingus it's very important, but for me it's very important too, you know, it's a little thing that we have together. Ow! Isn't that cute? We're always a little bit late, but just a little bit. You know, I think it's hard to wake him up when he's still asleep, and to have a child that can actually sleep in is quite fantastic. So we kind of take our time in the morning having the porridge and playing around a bit. It's such a nice time because he's full of energy and we're both still very positive. And then the day begins. So we're a little late and usually the last ones to come, so I don't really run into any of the other mothers, but I do in the afternoon. Oh, this way. This place was empty. There was no kitchen, no bathroom. And now there is, thank God. But I like the feeling of it being still open and have the New York feeling, you know, the loft feeling and spacey, but at the same time, it can seem a little stuffy to people who like the clean line in their house, but I appreciate coming to a place like that, but I couldn't live it in myself. The birdcage is from a flea market here, and so is the lamp over here. And I was gonna hang it up, but I never really got that far, and then it just ended up there. And you know, just because it's a chandelier, it doesn't need to hang from the ceiling. It can be placed on books like that, and probably will fall down one day and break. There's a lot of styles here, but sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe you should just stick to one style, but I guess having a lot of styles is a style in itself. I just love going to flea markets or weird little shops and finding pieces of furniture, and I'll just drag it down the street till I get home. I get very stubborn that way. If I'm in Morocco or India, nothing's gonna stop me from getting stuff home, you know. I'll be sitting on the plane with chairs and pillows and all different kind of shit just piled up on top of me. That Norman gave me for Valentine's Day 3 years ago, I believe, and it's an artist called Mark Ryden. I just love it. I mean, I would love to do a photo shoot where the girls look like that. This piece I love, this painting from the 19th century French. I mean, I wish I lived in a time where you could just walk around dressed like that every single day. I wouldn't mind the corsets at all. This is a Danish painter who just paints big gatherings or meetings or processes. This is the Nuremberg process. I love the way he paints because it reminds me of old black and white photographs. That mask is also old and just the way I like it. Creepy, weird, odd. And you wonder what faces have been in there. It's probably real hair too. And probably not from the head. Oh God. It's so great to have have a little friend, your child. Sometimes you just forget it's your child and it becomes like a little friend who's around you basically at all times, doing little cozy things. That's how I like to look at it, having a child. Because you know, the thought can be so overwhelming that you've actually given birth to this human being and it's your responsibility for the rest of your life, basically. I just see him like my little buddy who messes up my house. Well, Mingus is a great artist, I think. You know, I love the way kids paint. A lot of the art that I actually buy reminds me a lot of kids
paintings. Just that kind of naive painting, the way you paint when you're little and you kind of lose the ability to do that when you grow up because you try to make it too perfect. As with a lot of other things in life, you know, everything just becomes... Yeah, he doesn't paint, he draws. I love the snake monster. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna eat the man, isn't he? And he goes, no, he's eating the flower. He's a vegetarian. It's a very gentle monster. This is what happens to a child living in New York. I go, what is that thing on the right-hand side? He goes, oh, that's a limo. The most important place of this apartment is the outdoor space. When Mingus was smaller, he would sleep out here in the stroller. And now we just spend a lot of time out here eating and planting and just looking at all the different birds and mice and ants. So it's raining right now, which I love. It makes me happy when it's this kind of weather. I don't know, this makes you feel like you can stay at home and enjoy. It's just a dream. I mean, I can't believe how lucky I am every time I look out here.
We're trying not to do old-fashioned, we're trying to kind of get her involved in different kind of projects. So we did Helena's first big advertising campaign for Carlsberg that we shot here in Copenhagen. It was based on the whole Danish beer, Danish design, Danish photographer, Danish model concept. Reportage is also something that she masters really well because she's got this eye. She's very artistic and very kind of quirky, and so she's very good at getting that kind of twist into her reportage.
This project in particular was really challenging because we followed this older man, Pierre, who's an alcoholic and lives in a home called the Men's Home, and I followed him through the night. It affects you, obviously, because you're with this person for a night in his life and you get to know him in a really, really harsh way. He took me through town to all his favorite bars, and we got pretty smashed along the way, I must say. He was like, you have to drink with me, you know, so it was really something that you can, you know, take and feel and use for yourself personally on different levels. And so this is definitely a story that I'm very proud of having done. This is another project that I've been working on recently, and this was done in collaboration with Bono.
We did this thing for a great publication called Black Book. It's a design thing out of New York. And I don't quite know how I got into this, but she ended up in my kitchen with very little clothes and a newspaper and paints.
What we did was photograph each other, and then he painted over the images afterwards. I've shot Bono a lot over the years, and it's funny because when I was probably 13, 14 years old, one of the things that first caught my eyes, beside the music, was Bono's eyes. They're very piercing and they're very deep and soulful. And actually, he always wears glasses. This is, I believe, one of the first shoots in a long, long time that he doesn't wear glasses. So it was nice to get behind them.
You know, I wear glasses, you know, so as I can be insincere, because it's very important sometimes to be able to be insincere. But when Helena was photographing me, I knew I couldn't.
We're in Coney Island, New York. It's very photogenic. The amusement park, the crazy people that hang out. I mean, it's just a sort of eerie and very melancholic place. Come here a lot and photograph. It is one of the longest
most amazing beaches here, which is why we're out here shooting today. We're an all-Danish crew shooting for a Danish designer called Helena.
Yeah. We started working together 5-6 years ago, and we used it as a model. And I wanted to change the style in my new company, and then I thought, okay, it would be a great opportunity to use Helena as a photographer. Now it's the third time we work together. I think Helena has everything as a photographer because she knows how to behave in front of the camera, and so you get a lot in one person.
I am very mean when I direct, and so I can get everything back from all those years of torture. Okay. No, it's, you know what? I didn't like being told too much what to do, you know. It depends on the shoot. Sometimes it's good to be directed a lot, and other times, like here, it's nice just to get her feeling. The most important thing is that it doesn't look directed when you see it afterwards.
Yeah, very nice and interesting.
That means it's bad.
No, not at all. She can take so much stress. It's unbelievable.
Normally I just shoot with a Pentax, but I do have a Polaroid camera that's really amazing, that I love. The feeling in the atmosphere is very gritty and real and three-dimensional. It's beautiful light. It's kind of like my good luck charm. This little funny thing here is just a Holger. You never know what you get, but that's what's so exciting about it. And you sort of have to like cover it up everywhere with tape because it lets in so much light, but that's also what creates really weird photographs sometimes. But I mean, you couldn't do a whole job with this. That would be chancing it. It rained yesterday, it's gonna rain tomorrow, and we have this amazing light today. I mean, it could even be a little more cloudy, but I like the feeling in the photographs. I don't even know if you can see. It kind of looks like it's doomsday, you know. The world just disappeared and she's all alone. This is the West Village. It is very villagey, very cozy. There's a lot of playgrounds for kids. And then they have a market. I love that, all the farmers coming in from the countryside with all their best products. Look at all the strawberries. Apple cider to taste. Apple cider. I always let him taste first. You know, if something happens to him, at least I won't get sick. I'm meeting a friend of mine called Thomas. He's from Paris. So I get a little impatient when I have to wait around. And there he is. Hi. This is Thomas. 16 blocks up. You ready? He eats a lot of my food. That's what he does.
She actually is a great cook.
Actually.
So that's why she's my friend in the end.
I'm his friend around 6:30 every day. Okay, we're here. We're here, and all I feel like is pizza. It's $1 to get in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a great market. I'm kind of looking for weird objects, and it has a lot of that. I usually do it every weekend if I'm here. I'll go with my friend Leif, whom I'm opening the shop with. We always find something. It's very rare that I go to actually find something specific. I just look at everything and... Oh, that's beautiful. He's really very keen on diamonds, like anything that shines and, you know, obviously fake ones. Okay, he found a birthday present for his friend, and it will be an eye. Pretty cool present, huh? Okay, let's get an eye. How much is an eye? $1? Which eye do you want? Skal du have en der? He doesn't want it anymore. He thinks it's too expensive. That's my son. We're now going to the indoor market. I think this is the best part of the market. Very odd objects, peculiar things. Nej, den er meget gammel. Den kan gå i stykker. Those are the kind of things I like finding.
Tinsel portraits.
Mm-hmm. Which means?
They were colored prints, but they've been tinsel.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
They did them 18th and 19th century.
And where from where, you think?
England.
Oh, from England. I think I would like to buy these. But I also want to hear about these.
I believe, are Spanish, and they would have been on a pole.
Mm-hmm. Two of them. See, I love shit that looks like it's about to fall apart. So I'll take those. This is perfect. I'll hang one on each handle. That's the only reason I still have the strollers. I can feel it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
I will. Today I photographed for a magazine called I, and it's a Danish magazine. It's one of my favorite magazines, actually. When the team got together to sort of discuss the shoot, for some strange reason, we all came in with the same idea. The style is sassy. Leif and me came in with sort of a bit of a nature story, but done in a much more raw, brutal way, in a way.
Working with Helena is really good, I think, because she's modeled herself. And she's very quick and she knows very well what she wants. Some people might be intimidated by her because she's a very big model, of course. So that in itself is a bit scary, but she's such a comfortable person and so nice, so very easy to work with.
Om lidt begynder jeg at sige sådan noget med, at du skal elske med kameraet. Det er helt okay, så jeg bliver sådan lidt grebet af stemmen. Louise, you know, obviously, there's a reason for her being a great model. It really, really is such a pleasure when you're shooting that she just immediately knows how to move and how to sort of turn towards the light and all. It's little subtle things, but, you know, at the end of the day, modeling, as we all know, especially the models, you know, it's not anything that requires an amazing amount of, you know, brain work. But at the same time, there is an art to it. Whatever, people can laugh their pants off, you know, but it really takes somebody very artistic to actually be able to sense those little subtle details that will make the whole difference in a shoot. And she did that perfectly. Like anybody else, I think famous people, you know, they intimidate and excite you. You know,
They've obviously done something that has had an effect on you, you know. Even though I've known some of these people for years and years and have a completely sort of normal friendship going on with them, I still look at them and go, oh my God, I can't believe you used to hang on my wall.
She's a very close friend now of my family, my daughters, my sons, her son, Mingus, they hang out together. We are now family. I remember meeting Helena one dank, humid night, somewhere in the hills here, actually. She was the girlfriend of the singer of In Excess, Michael Hutchins, who was a very good friend of mine.
The way I met Michael was actually over the phone, and I believe we spoke for months and months before we actually met. Obviously, I knew what he looked like, and he knew what I looked like, since we were both in the press somehow, but still, it was very interesting for me and a good learning experience to get to know somebody's mind before you met them. And we were together for like 5 years.
Michael Hutchins played Cary Grant to her Lauren Bacall.
He was very, very loving and caring, very vulnerable. He just was a thinker, you know, a deep, deep thinker. He spent hours and hours, day and night, and just thinking about everything in life. And he was probably one of the first people that I've known and loved who died in my life. I definitely think he is one of the people that has had the most significant influence in my life. He was a very cool, very lovely guy. A group that has had, you know, incredible impact in my life has been REM.
I was introduced, presented to her by Michael Hutchins, who she was going out with at the time. And I had great admiration for him and his work. But for some reason, we sat down at the table together, and later, when we had developed a friendship, admitted to each other that we couldn't stand each other instantly. But that all changed within about 25 minutes and probably 2 glasses of champagne.
He's just the kind of person that you can really open up and be honest with him, and he will be honest with you.
To be critical of her would be looking in a mirror and saying, "You're really arrogant and bossy sometimes," to myself. She's not very often, but she can be. She's queenly in a way, but it's not for nothing. She's a very, very smart and a very worldly and very wise person.
I'm now going to get on top of a hill to look for the famous sheep. It is pretty here though, isn't it? I think no matter where you grow up in Denmark, you're always surrounded by nature and ocean. And my grandparents had a little cottage up north, and I was completely in with the ferries and trolls every weekend up there. Nature is hugely inspiring. You know what? I think I couldn't live without nature and classic music. I think whatever madness happens in your life, you know, get back home, put on classic music, a glass of wine, gets rid of any stress. Sheep! Up, I spotted some sheep. I do like to shoot animals. Not literally, but photographing cows, sheep, goats. Kind of sounds funny, but they're actually very photogenic. And I've taken a lot of shots of animals, you know, that I just like having around as still lives. Yeah, there you go, the lovely little sheep. They're probably gonna attack us. Okay, so I have my peeing cow, and now I have my peeing sheep. Maybe we'll just do a peeing animal collection. That was a nice wee, wasn't it? A long wee. All right, I got them doing number 1, number 2. You know, whatever weather it is up here, I couldn't care less. I really maybe even prefer the weather to be rough. But for photography, it's perfect. It's, you know, nice, soft, hazy light. Nature, yeah. I feel safe when I have my camera with me, because I would so hate myself if I was out. And, you know, there was a beautiful moment and I missed out on it. I was actually speaking to Michael the other day, Michael Stipe, about it, and we both agreed on that those images that you didn't get in your life, they haunt you forever. They feel very confident with me right now. And off they go.
I'm equally as proud of the modeling as the photography. You know, I feel that it really made me the person that I am now. So without that, maybe I wouldn't have become the photographer that I am now.
For people to understand that someone who they think of as this thing could then go on and become this thing, and to go there in a not cynical way, that'd be a good thing, because she's got the chops.
There will be a point where Helena will be mentioned more as the photographer than the model who's also a photographer. And I think that would happen within the next five years.
I think it's wonderful that people actually recognize me as a photographer and see me as both now. You know, that is really cool.
We count J-Lo's millions. She used to have a little, now she has a lot. At 1:45 in the AM tomorrow on BBC Three. Inner Space is next tonight, though.
It's